Hi, y'all. This is Miss McNabb. I'm going to be going over today the examples from our notes on 7.2, point slope form, going from an equation to a graph. So we're given an equation in point slope form, and then we need to graph it from there. So if you are struggling with this and you need a refresher just on point slope form, be sure to go back and check out the notes from 7.1, Introduction to Point Slope Form, and that will help you realize kind of all the different pieces and parts of it. So today we're looking at, we've got 4 different problems we're going to work through, and we're going to start with this one. We've got y plus 3 equals 1/2 x, or 1/2 times x minus 4. Okay, so we're going to start with the y plus 3 equals 1/2 x minus 4. So first step, we need to pull out our point and our slope. The slope is the easy thing to point out. It's always going to be the thing that's being multiplied by the x value, which in this case is going to be 1/2. So our slope for this one is going to be 1/2. 1/2. Next up, it can be a little tricky finding our point, but I bet we can do it. So we've got x minus 4 and then y plus 3. So to find our x value, our x1 value, we look closest to the x, and we write down the opposite of what we see. So here we see x minus 4. So the opposite of a negative 4 is going to be a positive 4. So I can write down, I know my x value for my point is going to be just 4. Then I see that I've got y plus 3, and I need to write down the opposite of what I see. So for my y value, I see a plus 3, so I know I can write down a negative 3. Okay. So we've got our pieces. Now we can put it on the graph. So the first thing we want to do is we want to graph that point. Remember, this is our x value, x, and this is our y for our point. Okay. And our x value goes across and our y goes up and down on our graph. So let's start with our x value. We're going to start at 0, 0, which is the origin. That's where we start counting for anything. And we're going to count over 1, 2, 3, 4. We're not putting a dot there yet, though, because we've just done our x value. We still need our y value. And since it's negative, we're going to go down. 1, 2, 3. And that is where our point is going to be. And I'm actually going to make that a different color than my origin point that I made so that I don't confuse myself. So these orange dots are going to be my line dots. Okay. So now I have my slope. So I know that I can just go, I know that slope is rise over run. So for 1/2, I can rise 1. And I'm going to go ahead and actually show you guys this. So I know that I can rise 1 and run, or rise 1, it's kind of hard to say, and run 2, and that gives me a point right here. And I can even keep going because a line goes on in the same, just the same forever and ever. So I know I can go up 1, I can rise 1 again, and I can run 2 again. And again, I'm going to have a point right there. Okay. And just to double check myself to make sure I'm kind of headed in the right direction with my line, I do have a slope of 1/2, which I know is a positive slope because it's a positive number. So as I look at my line from right to left in the same direction that I read, I am noticing that my line is pointing up in that direction, so I am in good shape because up is positive. So now we can go ahead and draw our line in. Let's see, we got to get the right colors, y'all. It's got to look good. Okay, here we go. So I am going to go ahead and draw my line in. It goes through all of my dots. And I can even, if I want to be fancy, put some arrows on it because lines do go on forever and ever in both directions. Okay, so that is our example 1. I'll give you a second to pause the screen if you need to. Okay, example 2, let's look at it. Same thing as we did before. So I know that the super easy thing first off, I need to find my point and my slope. The easiest one to find is always going to be that slope. It's whatever number is by the parentheses right there. So I know that it's going to be my 3. And since I'm a smarty pants, I know that when I have a whole number as a slope, I can always put a 1 as the denominator. There can always be an invisible 1 under a whole number that I'm dividing it by. Okay, now to find our point. Remember, we look for our x, and that shows us what our x value is going to be. And we look for our y, and that shows us what our y value is going to be. And we write down the opposite of what we see. So when I see my x value, I see x plus 3. The opposite of positive 3 is going to be negative 3. So my x value for my point is going to be negative 3. Same thing for my y value. I look at this, I see y plus 2, and I know I write down the opposite of what I see. So I see a plus 2, I write a negative 2. Okay, so now I have to graph my point. Again, I'm going to start with my x value and then go to my y value. Okay, so these are negatives, so they're going to be headed in this direction or headed down. Okay, so for negative 3, remember we do start counting from our origin point, which I'm going to go ahead and mark right there. And then I'm going to pick a different color for my dots for my line so I don't get confused. So I need to find negative 3, 1, 2, 3. I don't put a dot yet because I'm not at my point because I still need to go negative 2, down 2, 1, 2. Now I can put a point. So this is the point for my line, the first point for my line. Remember that pink point is not part of my line, just the green points. My slope I know is going to be rising 3 because it's a rise over run. So I'm going to rise 3 and go over 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick a color to draw that with. We can rise 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we can go over. We can run, let's pick purple. We can run 1. Then we can go ahead and put another green dot there because I know that's going to be on our line. And we can do that again to continue finding another point in our line. So again, if we want to go 1, 2, 3, and then we run 1, our next point is going to be right here. Okay, so now that I have a couple of points drawn, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to draw my line in. I know that I just need to connect these points. Okay. So I'm connecting my green points, and then I can put a little arrow on the end. And now to double check myself on the slope of my line to make sure I got everything going in the right direction. This is a positive slope because it's a positive number. And as I look at my line from left to right, so as I look at it from left to right, it is going up. So I did a good job there. Excellent. Okay, I'll give you a second to go ahead and screenshot that if you need to screenshot it, or stop to work on your own. Okay, going on to example 3. Let's see how this treats us. Oh, I see a fraction. Oh no, danger, danger. We can do it. We got it. Okay, so I know that my slope is always going to be the easiest thing to find. Even if it is a fraction, it's going to be the easiest thing to find because it's whatever is being multiplied. And I know that I see multiplication because I see these parentheses. So right here, I do have -2/3 times x plus 3. So my slope is going to be -2/3. And again, if you need help remembering all the pieces for this equation, you can definitely go back and check out the notes or the video for 7.1. Those will definitely help you out. Okay, now I need to find my x and y values. So I know my x value is going to be close to my x, and I'm going to write the opposite of what I see. I see a +3, so I write a -3. For my x, and then for my y, I see a -5, so I'm going to write a +5. Okay. I'm going to start again. I'm going to start counting for plotting my point. I'm going to start at 0, 0. My x point, or my x value, and my y value up here. Remember, we've got -3 and 5. So my -3, I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3 because it's negative. And for my 5, I'm going to rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and put a dot right there. And my dot was a little messy, but that's okay. I know where it's going. It goes right here. Okay, at -3, 5. So now my slope. I know I've got a slope of -2/3. I want us to always think about that negative as being with the numerator so that we can know if we need to rise and run or fall and crawl. So on this, we have a -2, so we're going to fall and crawl. So I'm going to fall 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to crawl, but I'm going to keep, whenever I'm doing my denominator or my crawl or my run, I'm going to keep going in the direction that I read from right to left. So I'm going to go crawl 1, 2, 3. And I can have a dot right there. Actually on the y-axis. Look at that. Isn't that fancy? Okay, and to find, just so we can practice doing that again, we can fall 1, 2, and we can crawl 1, 2, 3, and we get another point right there. Okay, so now that I have some points in there, I can go ahead and draw a line. Dun-dun. And I'm going to put some arrows on the end of it. just to make it pretty. Okay, now I can double check myself here on my slope to make sure I'm headed in the right direction. I do have a negative slope. My slope is negative. And so as I look at my line from right to left in the same direction that I read, as I look at my line from right to left, I see that it is actually going down, which is negative. So I got that right. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to pause or screenshot if you need to. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and head on to our last example here. Example 4. Oh no, we can do this. We can do this. It looks tricky, but we can do it. Okay. So first thing that I need to find is my slope. But this doesn't look the same. I'm used to seeing my point slope formula look like Miss McNabb. I'm used to seeing it. Well, now it's not letting me. Okay. I'm used to seeing y minus y1 equals m times x minus, the handwriting, x1. And then I'm used to looking for my parentheses to find my slope, and then, we move on with our lives. This is tricky though. I don't see any parentheses. What am I gonna do? Well, I want to show you guys something. If we look at just the negative 2x, I'm gonna kind of reverse this out for you. Usually when we see slope intercept and we see something times x, that is our mx, and that's our slope. So let's think about that. What if we thought about our negative 2 as our slope? Okay, so we said, what if it were negative 2? Miss McNabb, what did you do? What if it were negative 2, open parentheses, x? So still, if I multiply that, that's still negative 2x. But then what would my x1 value be? I don't have anything over here. And I know that the math number that represents nothing is 0. Aha, did I stumble upon a hidden x1 value? I think I might have. I think I might have found a hidden x1 value. So we've got, if I do negative 2 times x minus 0, well, let's distribute that, see what we get. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Okay, negative 2x minus, negative 2 times 0, anything times 0 is 0. So minus 0, which I can just write that as negative 2x which is what we had up here. So that tells me then, if I'm looking in here for my x1 value, that tells me that my x1 value can actually be 0. And since I found that, that's a little out of order, but since I found that, I'm going to go ahead and write my x1 value in, is 0. Ooh, that was a tricky one, Miss McNabb. I know. None of that, though, did change my y side. All of that was just on the m and the x value side. So I still know that my y plus 3 is the same, and I write down the opposite of what I see. So I know that my y value is going to be negative 3. That's easy. We've done that before. We know how to do that. Now my slope, which I know I found because I backed up, my slope is going to be negative 2. And since I'm a brainiac, I know things. I know that I can write that whole number with a 1 underneath it, with a denominator of 1, because I definitely need a fraction for graphing, okay, because I need to know what I'm rising and what I'm running. Okay, let's go ahead and start plotting our point. Remember, we do have 0, 0 here. It's where we start counting for everything. Okay, now our x value is still going to be 0, so we're good there. We don't have to count over at all. So we're going to stay on this axis right here, and we're just going to go down 3. We're going down 2, 3, and we go down because it is a negative number. So now we need to think about our slope to get our next point. Remember, we think about that negative being with the numerator. So we're thinking about, since we've got a negative slope, we're thinking about falling and crawling. So we're going to fall 2, 1, 2, and then we are going to crawl 1, still in the same direction that we read. Whenever we crawl or run, we're going right to left in the same direction that we read. Okay, so then you have a point right there. Let's just go ahead and, just for funsies, do another one. 1, 2, and crawl 1. We've got 1 right there. Perfect. And let's see what we can come up with here for our line. There we go. And I can draw dots on it. Or not dots, I'm sorry, arrows, to show that I know that it goes on forever in both directions. So there you have all 4 examples for our 7.2 notes, which is taking the point slope intercept, or taking a point slope intercept, taking an equation in point slope form and putting it on a graph. And the trick is to think about, to find your slope, to find your point, then graph it, and then use your slope to find the next couple of points. Good luck.